Welcome to another episode of Little Data's podcast. Welcoming here Nihar from... Sorry, get that right again. Right. Welcoming today Nihar from Roswell. Thank you, Nihar, for joining us.
I appreciate you having me here, Edward. We go back quite a ways.
It has been a long time,
now.
hasn't it? A decade of working together. And all that time, the Shopify space, and all of that time helping brands trying to scale their marketing, sell more online. Now, I know that you've been doing a lot of kind of thinking in the last few months about how AI and AI search is changing that whole product discovery journey. So perhaps just to sort of start off with my thesis, which is that as consumers start to trust not just ChatGPT, but also the AI search within Google itself, and that's becoming, with AI mode, increasingly embedded within Google search, that whole traditional channel where people have sort of landed on the homepage, browsed products, gone to add something to cart and checked out, that's being disrupted. So how do you see that's changing, and how quickly is that happening?
100%. That's a great question. I mean, we started seeing the trend towards the end of last year when we were noticing that our SEO efforts, while successful in certain arenas, weren't as successful as they were in the past. And we noticed that there was the sales were still there, but the attribution towards SEO was diminishing. And we took a step back and said to ourselves, why is that? And we realized that the traffic that's coming to the site now from SEO is being split amongst those that are going to the answer engine responses, now called AEO, answer engine optimization. And although you're getting less traffic, the sales were going up because those that are coming from the AEO model or answer engines are basically well more qualified because they're finding more information all at once, and the propensity to buy is much greater when someone comes to your site from that link.
And this is mainly happening in the AI summary at the top of the Google search page. Yeah.
Yes, but we also have a number of customers that we've talked to in the past, and brands who have reached out to their customers. We're finding that a lot of the searches are happening within Claude, within Gemini, within ChatGPT, Perplexity, and whatnot. Perplexity just released Comet, which is going to be a new way of thinking in terms of how the browser space works and how you interact with research and shopping as well too. So that's all changing, and what we're saying today might be different a week from now. It's all happening so fast.
And are you bullish on Google still coming out on top here, or do you think they're going to get quite disrupted?
I mean, it's like the house always wins. They have the most money.
Yeah.
I mean, if you try to go to Vegas and bankrupt the casino, you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Right.
They have a lot to stake.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this disruption is great for Google and the entire industry because it's going to shake things up and require people to be able to innovate that much more faster. Perplexity's browser, I mean, it's going to make Chrome antiquated. It's not really focused on tabs. It's focused on, from what I understand, holistic research in terms of being able to type in a URL into the Perplexity browser and use AI tools right within the site itself to be able to help you make decisions. So all that's going to change the way people shop.
Yeah. But the challenge as a brand is that visibility, right? All this is happening behind the scenes. It's happening on another platform. Let's say it's within a conversation ChatGPT. You don't know that you effectively won that query until that link just lands on your product page.
Yes.
It may or may not be tagged as coming from ChatGPT, but anyway, it is coming. So how do you understand as a brand whether your AEO is working?
That's a great question. I think there are emerging tools. There's some things with SEMrush that we're using. There's other tools out there that we're evaluating that are essentially allowing you to understand where you need to have structured snippets, structured data, focusing on digital PR to be able to get on top 5 lists and things of that nature, because what AEO is doing is basically doing the research for you and responding with an answer, not just here's what you like, but here's what I think you would like and why, and here are the citings based on why I'm making this recommendation to you.
Yeah.
And it's more conversational rather than I'm looking for a white shirt with stripes. And you just see a bunch of options, and now I got to go in and do the research, and it doesn't know what I like, so I got to go back, and the whole personalization aspect of it is just so much more powerful with AEO, with answer engines.
Yeah. So I think it's, as you say, there are tools out there that will sort of scan for how often your brand is mentioned for certain kinds of queries, which is one. And then this is one of the, I think, fascinating. The irony of AI is that some of the winning strategies are like old school PR.
It's all coming full circle.
Yeah, it's coming full circle, right? But yeah, in terms of you need as a brand to be mentioned, to effectively come up when people are doing that research. How do you do that? What are some of the sort of broad mechanisms you do to try and get prompted?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, what we are doing a lot of right now is competitive research because the space is so new. So if you're in the jewelry space and you want to get ranked, who are your direct competitors? I mean, are you competing with Tiffany, or are you competing with a smaller brand that's doing just basic silvers and so on and so forth? And you start typing in prompts, a number of different prompts. For example, I was reading the other day, if you type in SEO NYC, you'll get a number of responses in an answer engine. If you change it to SEO expert NYC, you get a whole nother range of responses. We were doing some personal research for us over at Roswell. The same thing is bringing it back to the brands. If you type in top jewelers of sterling silver with diamonds and so on and so forth, right? And you see what's listed. Okay, now you take it a level deeper. Why were they listed? What were they cited in? And then you start attacking those scenarios to be able to get co-listed or find other more valuable lists or locations that you should be on, or structuring your content in a way that represents what your competitors are doing, so that you start getting crawled for and put into those answer engine responses.
I think one of the challenges, having played around with it last week, is that if you are a fashion brand, in fact anything with sort of an aesthetic, the AI it's not very good at the moment at understanding the aesthetics. So if you're a technical product, it's very good at understanding that these are the technical comparisons, alternatives you have. But I was trying to search, for men's polo shirts, and it really doesn't understand the difference between, like a Ralph Lauren or a Ganto.
Not yet.
Not yet. I think it'll get better, and I get that it's, but. If you're that sort of brand that is quite visual, relying on aesthetic, I mean, again, I guess what you want to do is get people to a kind of product image as quickly as possible.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think what you're going to see in the near future is a stylist approach in AI, where you're going to upload images of like when you go into a store and you look at the mannequin and they all look fantastic, right? You're like, I want to look like that, right? And I think that it's going to be something similar, where people are going to be uploading things that they like from their Pinterest board or their mood boards or whatever, and say, this is my style. Go find me the like, and
or even upload a selfie, I guess.
Their
own body shape and stuff.
And I think with a lot of the fit guides that are out there right now, there's just so much that AI is going to be able to crawl and pull from within the next 6 months, another year, so on and so forth. I mean, it's AI and the answer engines are going to be pretty much your personal stylists.
Yeah. There's another example I was looking at last week with underwear. Obviously, again, another area where size is just the major fit is the major problem.
No pun intended.
And and it's so important. I was comparing a brand that had really good sort of sizing reviews, like whether people had found it to come up, like oversized, undersized. Yeah. And that then gets picked up by the AI, and it can understand, if you might want to go for a size up in this brand.
Yes. I mean, I think the conversational aspect of AI is what's really intriguing to customers that are starting to experience it. My wife, I was having a conversation because I knew we were going to be coming in to talk today, and she said, "Oh yeah, I just pretty much just use Claude or ChatGPT now instead of Google." And earlier to your question, is Google in trouble? I mean, if they don't pay attention to these types of situations, absolutely. But
yeah.
I think that they're going to innovate.
I think, I followed along their sort of marketing live event about 6 weeks ago, and you're right, they're definitely launching a lot of stuff. I think actually Google's problem is because it's a larger company, it just took them a while for the stuff to get from their alpha labs into the wild. Absolutely. And so it's all there. They are working on it, but they're just being conservative about rolling it out.
I mean, Google is the oil tanker. If you want to turn an oil tanker 90 degrees, it's going to take some time.
Sure.
Whereas all the new jacks on the block, I mean, they're speedboats. They can turn on a dime.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So how does this affect kind of paid media
Sure.
and paid spend? Because I think it's really interesting. Like it is, well, I guess perhaps there's two aspects of the question. Is there some benefit to your, well, okay, let me take it back. Do you think the AI can read ads and there's some benefit to recommendations of the AI from having ads?
I think that is what is going to be indefinite, like without a doubt, it's going to be happening because the chatbots and whether it's Gemini, Claude, et cetera, they're not going to just rely on monthly subscription to be able to fund themselves. They can't afford that. It's eventually they're going to have to incorporate some sort of ad scenario.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't have the answer to it yet, but being able to understand the ads and also create ads that are so personalized to the customer that's actually leveraging and using that precise chatbot is where the power is going to come from, and you're going to be paying them for that ad. Now, where we're at right now, your question was how is the paid environment?
Yeah.
Customer acquisition costs are through the roof. I mean, I think Google and Meta, even others like Bing, Pinterest, YouTube, AppLovin, the rest of them, it's not that their days are numbered, but they have they're such gatekeepers to the space that you want to be in terms of being able to have that captive audience come to your site. They can charge what they want, right now, because you absolutely have to have it. The duopoly in particular, Google and Meta, I mean, it's insane how much, I don't even know what the dollar amount they make every hour, but I would be curious to know because that would probably make me cry.
And you say it is still a duopoly. It's interesting. I think a few years ago we thought maybe TikTok would break into that. But again, in advertising terms, not really. They're still like in the sort of 5% realm, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, so bookending the question, I think that paid isn't going anywhere right now. No. But I think paid needs to be less of your strategy if that's all you're doing. If you're just relying all of your efforts on paid, it's like pouring water into a sieve. It's all gonna come out, right? Whereas having a strong retention marketing strategy, affiliate marketing strategy, retention strategy, and pairing the top of the funnel strategy with a strong AEO and SEO strategy is going to allow you to spend less on paid and increase your margins, especially in the era of where we're at with economic disruption, not just AI disruption, and the threat of tariffs on, off again. I mean, who knows? I'm told from what I see in the news, they're back on August 1st. So you need to be able to compete. And with all this economic disruption, your margins are going to be completely squashed.
Yeah.
And so you need to diversify.
So you say it's expensive to acquire people, but equally that's because there's no other options at the top of the funnel to find new audience. Yes. But I guess the way that AI search comes in is more in the mid funnel, right? It's not, they probably it's something brands should use or customers use to research after they've maybe seen an ad or mentioned you, and that's why it's super important to be there. Because obviously the worst way you can spend, waste paid is that there is an ad, they're aware of the brand, and then they do some research, and either it says, oh, you're a bit flaky, or it just doesn't recommend you because you don't have the reviews, or price as well. What I find interesting, obviously, AI is recently good at a price comparison, so it's going to immediately sniff out if you're not, I think your pricing strategy's off.
Yes, absolutely. I think that the AI shopping experience, I think Perplexity recently integrated with Shop Pay, and you're going to see a lot more of that. Is the research for what you want to purchase is already being done for you, and then it's almost like a peer-to-peer recommendation at that point. They don't care to go to the homepage. They don't care to go through your product listings and whatnot. They want to get in, get out, get on with their life, right?
And also, frankly, they don't care if they buy you through another marketplace or whatever, if it's a better offer. So. ChatGPT will recommend Amazon or whatever if it's a better price.
Absolutely. I think the way people shop is going to dramatically change in a year.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. So let's talk about marketing attribution. I mean, that's obviously the world. Little Data's been very involved in the last 10 years,
and the market leader.
Thank you. But I think it worries me that I think this whole. It's already somewhat of a black box. I mean, I never think of marketing attribution as a solved problem. It's you're getting directional view of where your sales are coming from. Yeah. But I see there's now this regression, on a number of fronts. But definitely one of the fronts is that people just appear on your site. Yeah. they may be tagged as ChatGPT. Again, it kind of depends upon the link and the platform, whether you get a sort of UTM source there. But even if they are, you've no idea how. You know that platform's there, but honestly, if you go and look at the traffic, and we have across a number of our sites at the moment, it's ChatGPT by a long mile, and then maybe Perplexity, and obviously Google is interesting itself because it'll still come from Google organic, but this time it won't be necessarily from the same sort of links.
Absolutely. I mean, before I answer that, AEO is important, but SEO is foundational. If you're just focusing on AEO and you're not focusing on your SEO, then your AEO is not going to work out.
Right.
So let me start with that. But to answer the question in terms of attribution, if you're still worried about last click, you're going to come in last. I mean, that's the last click model is, it makes sense, but we're so far advanced in terms of the way we're reaching out and touching our customers that you need to look at multi-touch, linear, a number of different other models. I've heard of first purchase attribution models. I mean, it depends on your business, but the signals and the attribution of however you're doing needs to be accurate. If you're looking at tools that are merging your email and SMS attribution versus SEO versus paid and so on and so forth, all of them have their attribution windows. You need to understand and create a model and algorithm that works for you so that you can differentiate between the priority of an SEO click versus a paid click versus an email click. And that's something that is going to be rapidly evolving, and I know Little Data is going to be leading the charge on that. Yeah,
I mean, it's interesting you mentioned first purchase attribution, because it's, again, a feature we've rolled out for all the channels the last few months, which is the ability to just trigger a purchase only when it's the first purchase of that Shopify customer. Because obviously you should be willing to pay higher customer acquisition costs for that first purchase. Most brands don't make money on their first purchase. It's really getting that customer in the door, and then, as you say, having the good retention marketing strategy to bring to keep them buying.
You should teach a course on this.
But it's the problem I think we have with brands is getting them over that hurdle that your CAC will go up because necessarily, if you're excluding all of what I would call the easy wins, which is getting people who already know about your brand to buy again, then you're going to have to spend more.
But that first purchase model of attribution is important because if you look, I've been doing this for a decade, as have you maybe longer, both of us. But ultimately, not a lot of brands get a second, third, fourth customer.
No.
Purchase out of that customer. It's really difficult. I mean, if you develop that cult following and you have a strong retention marketing strategy, you'll see 3, 4, 5, depending on the time between purchases based on your industry vertical.
Right. And obviously some verticals, furniture or whatever, you're not going to be buying one every year, but certain other verticals, vitamins, whatever, you should be buying them monthly.
Exactly.
It's actually one of the just at the Klaviyo conference in London last month, and one of the although Klaviyo has it's making good strides with their own marketing analytics tools, one of the big complaints is still the kind of attribution of repeat purchases to email. So like someone's on a subscription, they were going to buy anyway. It's like, hey, we sent them an email this month and look, they bought again. Wasn't it? No. Like, they're on a subscription contract.
Absolutely.
Let's take that out. So I think be able to, as you say, look at the actual channels that brought them to be that first customer, that first purchase.
Yeah, and I remember one of the things that Little Data was the pioneer of back in the day was when Shopify had separate checkouts for subscription, and you were able to go in with Little Data back in 2016, 2017 and filter out those recurring purchases. Otherwise, they were being added into the overall conversion rate, which was silly. I mean, that's not a convert. You have 35 conversions today, and it's only been 6 a.m.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's exactly the thing. And also, those conversions tend to come in like a lumpy sort of recharge would process them all in like one day. You'd have suddenly have this day, as you say, where like my conversion rate's gone up to 50%.
Exactly. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Right. But I think it's going back to the AI thing. I think as you say, I think my thesis is obviously you're going to get less traffic coming in what we call the front door.
Yes.
More traffic being dumped. Yes, onto the PDP, but actually, as you said, increasingly as they do these deals with ShopPay and stuff, actually it'll be another sales channel. Just pop into your Shopify, orders. You won't basically see the customer journey at all.
Yeah, my concern, for what I do as an agency, and is that is there going to be a need for people to go to a site in the future? I mean, ultimately, if the browsers and whatnot get so advanced where the shopping experience is optimized there, and you're able to, you're always going to need to do some type of source file generation in terms of how you want your brand to appear out there. But who knows in the future? Ultimately, if the browser gives you the ability to emulate your site or your brand experience through the browser, like a Perplexity's Comet or something like that, or even the future versions of Chrome or Safari, why would you need to go to the site anymore? And that's something that's scary, but it's the evolution.
I think that the interesting thing I read about that this morning is that going back to the fact that if you move forward a year, a lot of consumers will be experiencing your brand not on your own site, but in conversation with the tool.
Yes. So
what they're talking about is actually the importance of having this really strong brand voice, this actual sort of written identity.
Yes.
Because obviously that does get pulled in the recommendation. So the kind of language you use, the kind of phrases you use, that stuff is actually really critical to how you stand out, because you can't stand out with imagery, you can't stand out with colors, with fonts, etc.
And did you hear the other day that Instagram posts are going to now be part of AI search results? And so
I can believe
we're
that,
now looking at applying AEO strategies to our brand's Instagram feeds. So basically making sure that the images you are using, the captions and the tagging that you're doing,
it's on brand,
are on brand, and also going to help you with your AEO results.
Yeah. It's arguable that is already, if we take Instagram, for a certain type of consumer, that is kind of how they experience your brand anyway.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of consumers who I know Instagram kind of backed out of the whole checkout on Instagram experience, so they still dump you back onto your Shopify store at some point. But again, for a lot of consumers, that's kind of they're browsing the products on Instagram and then just going through to buy when they like.
Yes.
As I said, obviously ChatGPT and Perplexity and stuff is not such a visual experience; it's more a text-based experience. Not yet, but it might certainly for kind of when it understand you in a kind of visual query of a kind of fashion type conversation, they may well get a lot more visual.
Yes, absolutely.
Certainly, I've noticed again when you search for products like shoes, which is again obviously a very visual thing, they're much more likely to show you the brand imagery than when you're searching for a technical product like radios.
I imagine the behemoths in the sneaker and footwear industry like Nike and whatnot are going to make it capable for within the AI browsers for you to be able to go in and drag 360 views of it, change colors in real time, sizes and everything. And you're not even on the site.
So you'll be able to do like 360 sort of moving the shoe around.
You're shopping in your own home, literally.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you say that I definitely see the same thing in the long term. I think we are talking a few years away. That investing in brand sites.
Yes.
But is that a threat to Shopify? I was trying to think this through. I don't think so, because you're still going to need a mechanism to manage inventory orders, all that product metadata. I think that you still need a Shopify.
Yes.
As you say, I think what you probably need less is the obsessing about the actual user interface on the storefront.
Exactly, and that's all I think going to change. It's going to be more about merchandising. It's going to be about having inventory. It's going to be about branding, messaging, and interacting with the AI chatbots in a way that that is going to be the future UX. And it's not here yet, but like you said, in 2 to 3 years, the UX could be all within the chat browsers.
So moving on to Shopify announced at their partner event last month that they were 2 months ago now.
Right?
Editions. That they're basically going to open up a sort of default global product feed for AI that ChatGPT and others will be able to just go in and pull every brand's product metadata.
Yes.
Is that a good thing? Is there any reason why you want to opt out of that as a brand?
I think if you opt out of being on Amazon or Walmart, maybe those types of brands would, right? But opting out of Amazon or Walmart is just basically pulling yourself from an available sales channel. But if that's part of your brand, not every brand wants to be sold on Amazon or Walmart because of the inclination of that's the type of brand you are.
So maybe in luxury, you're trying to craft this sort of premium experience.
Exactly.
You want people to come to you.
Exactly. And maybe, at the end of the day, but it depends on how this global product feed is going to be leveraged. If it's going to be leveraged in a way that customers are going going to be integrated. Like if I'm looking for an engagement ring, or if I'm looking for outdoor patio furniture that's really top grade and whatnot, and if that's available on Shopify, and I'm one of those brands, I absolutely want to be included in that product feed, because it's not tarnishing the brand at that point, because it's basically just feeding that into a channel where I control, as a brand, I control the experience that the customer is going to be having.
I think you're right. It's a lot like being listed on Amazon.
Yes.
So I think that is probably going to encourage a lot more sort of real-time price sort of competitiveness, which is, I guess, in the consumer's interest. But as you say, the choice is roughly the same. Do you want to be, there's going to be now, still a subset of people searching on Amazon, although interestingly, I was reading this week that the kind of share of people doing product discovery on Amazon slightly dipped compared with, so arguably, ChatGPT, Perplexity and stuff are eating into Amazon search more than they're eating into Google search. But anyway, there'll still be a chunk of people who buy on Amazon Prime, and there'll be a chunk of consumers that only buy on like ChatGPT. Yeah. And as you say, the question is, do you want to be there or not?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and price sensitivities are going to be very much at the forefront. If you're on one of the chat browsers and one of the chat interfaces, and you find me the best price on XYZ, or this T-shirt or this sneaker, right? It's the exact same product. It's doing the research for you, and boom, here it is, and one click, you've bought and you're gone. And that type of thing is very important. You're going to need to be monitoring. You said that earlier, and I didn't even think about that. You are absolutely going to be very conscious of what your competitors are pricing things at,
because it'll be totally transparent. The area in real time will just see pricing updates to your competitors, and
it's frictionless.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
diverting them that way if they're 10 pence cheaper.
100%.
And then going back to the AEO bit.
Yes.
So one of the things I was reading is that the ChatGPT, obviously OpenAI owned by Microsoft, that they rely more on the product feed from Bing. Is that true? Do you think?
Yeah, I read that too, and
I'm a bit skeptical actually.
Because
they have their own bot crawling. I would have thought they
correct.
rely more on that.
Correct, and I think what when we talked about the duopoly of Google and Meta, and when it comes to ads, people are still advertising on TikTok. They're still advertising on Bing, on AppLovin, on other places. I think that it depends on how much resources you have to be able to look at all the different channels that are out there. I mean, if you have the resources to be able to get into the Bing network, of course you're going to do that. Why not? It's just another channel. But if you don't have the time, you have to go where the biggest bang for your buck is going to be.
Yeah, and a quick plug that we'll be launching an integration Bing ads later this year, because we see for a certain number of brands it's very important, but it is a small minority. And
well, I'm hearing that to your point earlier, I didn't quite understand, but to your point, the Bing market share definitely is growing.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely one of the beneficiaries of Google's AI search being disrupted.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Arguably why Microsoft's so interested in securing them as a partner.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's interesting that we definitely saw that when people had to cut back on budgets the last couple of years, rather than just cutting across the board. What they chose to do, I think, sensibly, is just cut back the minor channels where you're not really spending enough to ever get enough learning the algorithm to figure out what's working. Like if you mostly channels, there is a minimum spend, right, to get to that critical point of learning.
100%.
And so better to pull back to Meta and Google, or even just Meta in some cases.
Yes, yeah. I mean, if that's all you can do, then that's all you can do.
Yeah. So what's as an agency, and what do you think the exciting opportunities that this brings, or AI search brings you?
So there's just a multitude of new services that we're capable of offering on a daily basis.
Yeah.
We understanding how, like I said earlier, in terms of Instagram and optimizing your Instagram posts from a content standpoint, that's a new service. There's so much out there. I think that my mantra is that AI is not going to take away jobs from people who know how to use AI. It's going to take jobs away from people who don't use AI.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the most exciting thing, is that, at Roswell, we're pivoting to AI first.
Yep.
Not just in terms of our services, but how we operate,
yes.
how internally. The agencies that figure it out are going to be able to do 4x to 10x the amount of work with the team that they have.
For sure.
Your gross profit margins are going to go through the roof, right? And I think now, if you're an agency and you can master that and are able to output more, you're really going to thrive. And that's one of the most exciting things I think that I'm looking forward to, because agency life is incredibly stressful. I question myself every day what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But then, I look at my team of 50 Roswellians and I say, that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah. No, we're exactly the same. And I was really influenced by Toby from Shopify talking about internally how they've tried to champion AI usage, and actually we've implemented some of those tools a little later. We have now a Slack channel of sharing AI insights. We have it on our all hands. People stand up and talk about a good use case, because frankly every week stuff is changing.
Every week.
And I think that knowledge sharing internally of like what is actually helping on a day-to-day basis, because it's really fascinating, the psychology of that. So many people are holding back from sharing because they feel like it's somehow cheating. Like, I'm doing less work now. I don't want people to feel like I should be paid less, right? But as you say, exactly the opposite. Yeah. If you are a skilled user of AI, you are 10x more productive.
Exactly. It's not about elimination; it's augmentation.
Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah. I'm generally an optimist about jobs. I think in every technological revolution, people have said, "Oh, it's going to kill jobs across the board." I've no doubt that I actually think that certain areas like law and any kind of very kind of admin processy is going to be hard hit. Yeah. But I think in the creative industries, and ultimately you were in the creative industries, right? I think actually, human creativity is augmented by getting rid of all the drudgery of having to, you can have the idea and AI can go off and execute for you.
I think in this space, especially in the e-commerce agency space, team members need to look at themselves less as executors and more as executive producers, because ultimately you're going to be going into your role. You understand what your deliverables are, and I use this metaphor a lot, but if you're doing long division by hand, 16,332 divided by 735, you're doing it by hand. What are you doing? Use a calculator, right? And so what we're telling our team is that if you're going in and doing something that is the equivalent of doing long division by hand now, you're going to get left behind. And so it's ultimately you need to executive produce your results as an individual instead of just cranking it out and trying to do it manually.
Yeah. Well, I think the brilliant thing is, for certain, my wife is very dyslexic, and she's found this to be amazingly productive because she's got all the ideas. Yes. She just couldn't put them on paper before. Right. But now, basically, she can use the prompts to generate a whole load of content that she couldn't do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome. I think that's all we have time for, but thank you very much for the chat. Always. It's been very useful.
I appreciate you calling me into the studio while I'm here in London. It's always good to see you face to face, Edward.
Good.